Hi, today I'm doing a review on a YA series called the Nightshade series, or the Nightshade novels, by Andrea Cremer, or Cremer. So there are 3 novels in this series, and then there's 3 short stories in between the books, or like little novellas. So there's one like prequel to the series, there's one between books 1 and 2, and there's a novella that takes place after the novel, just kind of like showing you what happened 2 months or a year later or something. I didn't bother reading that. So this series, it's strange because I just bought or downloaded a book called Howl, and I was like, oh my god, that plot sounds exactly like Blood and Chocolate. And if you haven't read Blood and Chocolate, do. It's a great book. And then I saw this book in the library and I read the back of it and I was like, oh my god, this sounds just like Howl, which just sounds like Blood and Chocolate. But basically the story is about a werewolf teenage girl who belongs to this very strict pack, of other werewolves, and she falls in love with a human boy against all her pack's wishes, and she's kind of like destined to be kind of like the female alpha. And that's kind of plot. And in this series, the werewolves, like in other series I read, werewolves, the transition from human to wolf is a really painful, agonizing change that takes, a good 10 minutes. But in this series, they're wolf, human in half a second, switching back. It's no pain at all. And also the werewolves are guardians for these kind of like sorcerers, which are called the keepers, and then later this other group of people come into it called the searchers. So there's a really good bunch of characters in there, and sometimes that's good. I like the pack of wolves, I like them. Then there's a big group of searchers, and it kind of got a little bit confusing remembering, not just the person's name, but what type of person is that again, what's their personality like. It was a little bit of a strain sometimes. The first book, I was enjoying it. Like, it kept me interested the whole way through. But I do think there were some problems regarding the whole YA element and the protagonist. I did find the protagonist quite whiny sometimes and very indecisive. Like she was like leading 2 guys on at the same time and never kind of considering the other one, which was very frustrating. I felt a little detached from our main character, Kala. Like, I never really got to know her properly. Just, that type of detached writing from the author. There's also parents in this series, and I do think they have the potential to play a great role, because I do love when the parents get to play a good role in a YA series, because usually most of the time you don't get that. And I think the author wasted that potential, because the parents have like no big role in this series. The second book, I thought there was a lot of talk and not enough action. Oh my god, it just moved so slowly, and there was just constant bantering and chatting back and forth and lots of boring explanations of the mythology and the background to all the guardians and searchers and everything. And I was just like, oh come on, just put a bit of action in there, just have something happen. And the third book then, I just was kind of bored of the series by then. There was a bit more action in it, but I think it was all ruined by the ending, because I just did not like the ending to the series, and it just ruined my whole overall opinion of the series, which means I'm not going to read that little novella that takes place afterwards, to find out what happened. So like, I do think the first book was the best, even though it was very teenish and had a few problems. I think it was the most interesting for me. The other 2 books, I just didn't like it, because the annoying things with the main characters were kind of amped up. And yeah, it wasn't great, like the writing and the story itself and the main character. So I wouldn't really recommend this series. There's a lot better wolf shifter type YAs out there. As I said, try Blood and Chocolate. It's just a standalone novel, but it's very good. I have to try Howl myself. I think the adult series get the whole werewolf thing much better. Like the Shifter series, the Wolf books, and the Kelly Armstrong series, which I'm rereading at the moment. Like there's another series, YA one that has wolves in it, The Dark Divine, which I did not like at all. yeah, so I'd have to get back at you with a good werewolf YA series, because it's kind of hard to find them, but I just don't think this series was very good. Had potential in there, had some good parts, like there was a bit of mystery in there, you know, like a lot of secrets, and there was kind of like a big battle between these major groups of kind of supernatural beings. Like, had all that potential, but the author just didn't do great things with it, and there was a lot of annoying things in there too, and kind of waste the potential of other things. As I said, like one thing was the parents. Yeah, and if you don't have a likable protagonist, it's going to be difficult to like the overall series, I think. But that's that. Okay, so now I'm going to do a spoiler review, so if you haven't read this series before, I suggest you switch off now. Okay, so the love triangle between Calla, Ren and Shay. I know in the first book, I think the author tries to make Ren out to be kind of like this not very likable bad boy, and you know, we're meant to kind of like Shay, the good guy. I just found Ren a lot more interesting. Shay now as a character was the most unremarkable, boring, dull, like no distinguishing qualities about him whatsoever. He was just a very, very blah. Like if he was a flavoured drink, he'd be water. So I just don't think like the author picked a good resolution to the love triangle. What does she do? Calla doesn't really have to make a decision. She just kills off one of the love interests, and her decision's made for her. Yeah, like I read some reviews, and a lot of people were upset with Ren dying. And then the author said, Shay has just as many fans as Ren, and someone made a comment like, where are these fans? I've never ever read someone who said that they liked Shay over Ren, so I thought it was funny. But yeah, that was just one of the stupid things in the series. But yeah, I do think Ren was a lot more interesting and better for Calla. Shay, yeah, I didn't really like him. His transition into a werewolf was so quick and glanced over, and I just thought it would be a bigger deal. Like, he was a werewolf now, and it was kind of like nothing. The romance in it was very YA teasing, kind of like, oh, sometimes you're like, oh my god, would you have to sleep with one of them? Because it was just so like, they'd get so far and she'd stop, that type of annoying thing. I hated the ending to the overall series where they all just turned into wolves, and that's what they're going to be for the rest of their lives, wolves. Like, even in a werewolf series, I'm not crazy, but when they are actually werewolves, I prefer when they're human, so this ending was just like, ugh, stupid for me. The searchers got very annoying because they kept joking around and during like inappropriate times, and it just got very tiring. Ethan and Sabine were just the cheesiest like romance ever, and I thought another way the author made was killing off Malone. I actually liked Malone and would like him to see him with Ren a bit more, but we didn't really get that. I loved Calla's brother in the first book, and then, you know, obviously he got a bit depressed in the second, and didn't really like him from then on, and became like a little bit of a traitor and everything. I suppose these young people were put through a lot and had to make these tough decisions, and like they had to like, kill each other practically towards the end. The first book I suppose was my favourite in the series, even though I have some faults, and the second and third kind of jumbled together because they're quite similar. And they just weren't great for me. I just know there was just something missing, and it just wasn't great writing. And yeah, just an awful ending to the series. So it's a pity really, because I kind of started out okay-ish. So thank you very much for watching today, and if you have any good recommendations, please let me know. And happy reading!